Welcome back to Alpine Garage Sports, where we hang out in our garage and we talk about sports, specifically CU football, specifically Coach Prime. Today we're talking about what we're going to coin as the University of Colorado Air Defense, which is also known as UCAD. And at this point we have really recruited and pulled off the transfer portal some of the best defensive backs in the country, maybe some of the best defensive backs that any university has ever seen in combination in the history of college football. That's a pretty bold statement, but let's stick with that for a minute. Now, before we go any further, we're a brand new channel. We actually have a second channel, which we've had for over 3 years, where we restore motorcycles and we restore trucks and things like that. I decided that I love college football so much, I had to start a channel because I am a lifelong CU Buffs fan, and we finally have an opportunity since I was 18 years old and we won the national championship. So that's been a long time. Obviously, look at this. It's been a long time. So I can't be more excited. So we're following CU football this year. We want you to come along. So please subscribe, hit that notification bell. I'm going to be trying to pump out material for you as fast as possible. And we're going to be bringing you some cultural aspects of CU that you won't see on other channels. And because we're here in Colorado, my daughter actually attends the University of Colorado right now. And we're going to be at every home game with season tickets. So we're going to bring you all of that this year. So please subscribe. Let's get this thing to 1,000 just on this video alone. Hit that subscribe button. Let's get started. UCAD. So that is the University of Colorado Air Defense. I couldn't come up with the... I was also thinking PBAD, Primes Buff Air Defense. I don't know. UCAD. We're going to stick with UCAD. So anyway, we now have one of the best secondaries in college football. I believe we have one of the best secondaries. Now with the addition of Cormani McClain, that actually basically builds what would be the mega backfield for any college football team. And we're going to go through that. So when you're considering the fact that we just got 5-star Cormani McClain to join us, and this dude is tall. He's 6'2". He's lightning fast, great hands, and he can move to the ball quickly. So in the kind of set that we're talking about, he can make it look like a receiver is not covered, and he can be at the receiver before the ball is in those short throws. So this is where I see that big pick rate and big, pick six rate coming from, is the fact that these guys can stand off and close gaps really fast. We already have 5-star Travis Hunter from last year, transfer from JSU, who may be the best cornerback in all of college football. And honestly, really, I think you're going to see him as wide receiver in some packages that they're going to put out there because he is as dynamic a receiver as he is a defensive back. We also have Cameron Silmon. A lot of people really don't know a lot about, but he was a JSU transfer, 3-star. He's a little smallish compared to the rest of the guys at 5'11", around 175, 180 pounds, but he's lightning fast. And with this type of a defense, if they're playing that cover 7, they're going to need a lot of speed to try to close those gaps. We have Myles Slusher, who just came to us from Arkansas. Very good safety, very hard-hitting safety. And he comes from Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, with which I lived for quite a long time. I got to know BA football. BA football is a powerhouse football team in the city of Tulsa, vying against Union and Jenks. That 3-school, 4-school band in Tulsa produces a ton of talent for the NCAA. We have Shilo Sanders, who was a 3-star from JSU, also played with the Gamecocks at South Carolina. Although he is the son of Coach Prime, he will have to compete for this position. And looking at Shilo, man, Shilo can flat out run and he can flat out hit. I honestly feel like he is going to be one of the starting safeties for this team. I don't know that Shilo maybe is getting the credit that he is due in some of the media channels that I watch. He doesn't look like a terrifying guy. He's a pretty nice guy. Seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders, but you put him on the football field and he can lay the smack down on just about anybody. And it looks like he hits with a ton of bricks. Honestly, he's also fast. When he intercepts the ball, or he did a lot of returning in high school where he returned footballs, kicks, punts, stuff like that. And he has the kick of his father. If you look at the way he runs, he actually has that Sanders kick. Now, I don't even know if he's developed all that much or if I'm the only one that sees it, but I see it in him. And even if he wasn't Coach Prime's son, I think I would say he probably looks a little bit like Prime. Maybe I have a little bit of love for Shilo because I want to see him do well in this Colorado defense. But I'm going to put him as a starting safety because I think he has the talent and he has the experience to be able to pull that off. Now you also have Torren Pittman, who was a CU buff last year, one of the better players along with Trevor Woods. So I'm going to match those two up together because both of them could start as well. I mean, this is going to be a very hard-fought secondary to see who can start in the secondary, especially at safety. But those two guys started for Colorado last year. Those two guys also did very well for Colorado last year in a year where, everything was somewhat lost. And I'm glad to see them here. I'm glad to see them back. And specifically, Torren Pittman at 6'4" makes a giant cornerback, giant safety. It's going to be interesting to see how he does. And then let's not forget about Kendrick Breedlove, who plays somewhere in the secondary as well. He transferred here from Ole Miss as a 3-star. This guy has got an extreme amount of talent, and it's going to be really exciting to see him on the football field. Then you also have Tayvion Beasley in there, Nikko Reed, you have Stoutmire. So these guys are all going to be big hits for Colorado as well, and they're going to compete for some of those starting positions. But you're going to see a lot of playing time from these guys. Now let's go to that linebacker crew because there is no good air defense without having a good linebacker set. Because in this particular set, they're going to have to cover flats and things like that. So they got to be able to move. They got to have good hands. They got to be able to cover fast wideouts. And I think we have that. So we have Morgan Pearson, who's 6'1", 220, super fast. He's got soft hands. He played wide receiver in high school as well. So this guy is used to running routes. He's used to covering routes. He has a lot of experience with this in high school. And honestly, I think with the coaching that we have for Colorado, I think he's only going to get better. And I think he's going to make that perfect linebacker that we need to have at the University of Colorado. The second one is LaVona Bentley, obviously from Clemson. He was a 4-star recruit to Clemson. 6', 223. He played 40 games in college. And his notable is that he had 73 tackles with 5.5 sacks. Loss. This guy is a beast. Right there, anchoring as a veteran in our linebacker crew. He's going to pull these other guys together, and he's going to make for a fantastic linebacker crew for us. And then you have the wild card, which is Victory Johnson. I don't know why I say wild card, because Victory Johnson came to us as a linebacker, at least he's listed as a linebacker, but he played wide receiver in high school as well. He could probably also be a tight end. He's a big dude. He's 6'4". He also ran a pick 6 to the house in his title game. So, I mean, he's just a built-in hero. You can just see this guy coming in and making an instant impact. But will he be a wide receiver, or will he be a linebacker? Will he play both? Who knows? But seeing him as a linebacker in this group kind of fills that linebacker crew out. Now, nothing starts without trying to figure out what defense we're going to be putting in place at the University of Colorado. It likely won't be defenses that we've had in the past. And it starts with our defensive coordinator, Charles Kelly, that comes from the University of Alabama, where he was an associate defensive coordinator. He has coached a lot of other teams in the defense, but obviously his tenure at Alabama is probably the most striking. And the fact that we may be pulling an Alabama defense into an Alabama-style defense into our University of Colorado team, I think it would actually fit. So we're going to use that as an example. So the University of Alabama defense is it's a special cover 7 defense that's actually being used by a lot of high school through NFL teams right now, actually using parts of that because it is so successful. And obviously, the University of Alabama can literally take any 4 or 5-star recruit, put them into their defensive scheme, and it's going to work. And they prove that year after year after year because they lose everybody to the NFL in their junior season. So we may be able to do that same thing. So without going into details on a cover 7, basically what this means is that a man-on-demand defense with a 2 safety shelf. So basically they're coming off the defense, or they're coming off the offensive line about 5 yards, giving that space to the receivers and allowing those linebackers and that apex defender to be able to cover the flats and things. And then at the same time, they have really powerful edge rushers, which we do have. Taylor Upshaw, Jordan Dominic, and Taj Alston, that group of edge rushers may allow us to run that defense. And then if that happens and we have such a great group of defensive backs pushing off the receivers just a little bit with that underside coming down and putting pressure on the quarterback, we're talking pick 6 city. I see maybe a record amount of interceptions and pick sixes in the Pac-12 this year versus previous years, especially with all of the quarterbacks that we have in the Pac-12 now that are wanting to throw like crazy because they're all vying for a Heisman Trophy. So we may actually have the most exciting defense in college football history this year. That's a big statement. A lot of you are going to fry me in the comments for saying that. But at this point, you know what? We're just having fun. We're talking about what could be. I don't think this is far off the mark. I think that our defense is going to be some of the best in college football. And everybody knows you win championships with defense. You've got to shut down those Heisman potential quarterbacks, which we're going to go over in just a second, and kind of how we're going to affect them. And if we do, we could win Pac-12 championship. I'm just going to say it right here. We could win the Pac-12 championship. What is our UCAD going to do to some of the big names in the Pac-12 that are going to be vying for the Heisman next year? Because they're going to have to shut these quarterbacks down if they have a chance at all. So let's go through those. And keep in mind, this is going to be a little tongue-in-cheek, but honestly, I feel like we can do these things to these quarterbacks. So please don't roast me in the comments. Here we go. So I'm calling these guys, I'm calling our defensive backs UCAD, but I'm also calling them the Heisman killers. We want Shilo Sanders to win the Heisman. To do that, we're going to have to kill all other quarterbacks. So here's how we're going to do it.
Setback we call.
Eagle zipper hero unless a setback shifts into the eye.
Good. 3rd and 7.
Okie Thunder Lion.
What's your assignment?
Kill the quarterback. Hit the tight end so hard his girlfriend dies. Kill everybody.
So Caleb Williams coming from USC, he actually was part of my OU Sooners to start, and then he moved to USC last year where he won the Heisman. Now, that was a Cinderella story. By going there and winning the Heisman this year, it looks like their recruiting class is like top 10, so they could be better than last year, and he's going to have better wideouts to throw to, along with some really core guys that are going to stay there. At this point, though, I don't think he has ever faced a secondary like this one. And quite honestly, Caleb Williams, I'm just going to say, big at USC, you might ought to go and pick a surfboard up and learn to surf, because that might be your new occupation. All right, Bo Nix. So I think Bo Nix might as well be called Bo Nil, because he's going to get 0 touchdowns against our group. Honestly, I don't think Bo Nix stands a chance. He is a good quarterback, and I honestly think that at the beginning of the year, he may actually be vying for a national championship. There is no way with his throwing style he's going to pick our defense apart. So let's just say Bo Nil, you're out of here. Okay, Dante Moore, big name coming to UCLA. Big, what is he, a 5-star quarterback going to UCLA? UCLA has a great, I think they're a top 25 recruiting class so far this year. So they're also going to have a good team. But our defense is so good, again, coming out of high school, he's not going to be able to throw on this defense, I don't think. By then, we're going to have some games under our belt. We're going to be really good. We're going to have some solidification at defense. And so at that point, what we're going to do is we're going to be putting a low roof on top of the Rose Bowl so that he can't throw, and we're going to shut him down. All right, now, DJ Uiagalelei from Oregon State. You know what? Don't even bother. Probably should have stayed at Clemson. And then lastly, Cam Rising at Utah. Now, Utah's won the Pac-12 2 years in a row. Cam Rising's been a Heisman contender both years. But honestly, at this point, you're probably going to have to stick with your running game. And oops, sorry, you just lost your main running back to the NFL. These Heisman potential quarterbacks have no chance against our UCAD. And that means Shilo Sanders is just going to light it up, take the Heisman. And that's the big dream for all of us CU Buffs fan right now. And so you can see the little halos around me where the dream is coming into play. And we're going to live with that for at least another 8 months until season starts. And then at that point, we'll see if that actually comes to fruition. Thanks for watching this video. Again, if you haven't subscribed, we're having fun here. We're talking about CU football. We're going to follow everything from recruiting to specifically the culture of Colorado football forward. And again, we're going to be at these home games. We're going to bring you footage. Stick with us, subscribe, let's get to 1,000. And to all those Heisman quarterbacks out there that think they're going to throw on our defense, we coming.